Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We're going to be using the newly Easy Aid and also, just like LR Buhan brought forward to global, Easy Aid LR Super Vegito or Strength Super Vegito. Cannot wait to try these out. Also, just like Buhan, they are 90% in the dupe system, they are level 10 links. They are almost as good as they possibly can be. And once again, we're starting off with some very good start of turn stats. We are running them on the very underwhelming when they released LRSSJ, Goku and Vegeta, just because when it comes to 200% leads, I'm missing a lot of their better ones. Again, the LR Super Saiyan Trio, the new Goku, the new-ish Goku who came out just before the new one we got now, same day Vegeta. So this is kind of one of the best places we can kind of try him out without kind of downgrading to a 170 lead. But I mean, it's still got some very strong units on the team regardless. And, ooh, we can actually get every single link active aside from Shock and Speed by putting them next to these two. Damn, we got to 635k attack stat, 210k defense. And we haven't even picked up a single orb. The starter turn stats on these two Easy A's are actually stupid. Like, they are stupidly good. So turn 1, Goku and Vegeta, let's see what you are doing. Of course, they have damage reduction, 8.8 mil. That GT Goku and Vegeta is still a very solid unit to this day, so actually having that as a rotation is possible, but 8.8 mil and a 5.9 12 key super. Both the 12 key and the 18 key are the exact same. They will stack defense by 30%. We got a triple. Just as I'm talking about stacking defense, we hit a triple. That's very nice. So we've got 3 stacks worth of defense with 30% each. And they raise attack by 50% for 1 turn. The only difference, of course, on 18 key, they're doing mega colossal damage rather than just colossal. They start the turn with key +2, attack and defense +200%, have 30% damage reduction. They also gain 2 key per type keys for obtained. They'll launch an additional attack that has a 70% chance to come in a super attack, which is very handy considering they do stack defense, considering it's only 30% and say not 50, the same way Buhan does. He also has, or they also have a 30% chance to crit, which is also very nice. They have an additional attack and defense +50% and launch an additional super attack for 1 turn, which is guaranteed of course, from the character's entry turn, or when HP is 77% or more at the start of turn, which, near the beginning, depending on who you're facing, having your HP at 77% or more with kind of the big boy tanky units we can have on some of these teams with the units they pair up with, might not be too difficult. Of course, with how much damage like events are doing nowadays, there's a big chance you can get caught, the wrong unit can get caught, just because there's, as I said, so much damage in these events. So, you know, maybe getting that additional is going to be a little bit more difficult than not, but it is guaranteed. So having that either or condition, I don't really mind too much. They then gain an additional chance from a critical hit +20% and an extra 20% damage reduction as well, if HP is 50% or more when attacking, which isn't too difficult. Unless you really get caught early on with Red Zone and the 9th anniversary content that's come in, or the wrong unit just takes it compared to like the big tanky units, having your HP at 50% or more with the types of units you're going to be using with this Strength LR Vegito really isn't too difficult. So pretty much the majority of the time, when they are in Goku and Vegeta before they fuse, you will have 50% damage reduction, probably majority of the time, which is very nice. Because one thing, they were out during a time period, and that's not to say that their base before they fused was bad, definitely not. But one thing during this time period when they released was you mainly wanted to get the active, the transformation, the fusion out as quick as possible, which I know you kind of want to do anyway, but it was during a time period where it was kind of like, I said, the base, the Goku and Vegeta portion of the unit wasn't bad, but there was a big difference. You know, you had the Scouter, the type of damage Super Vegeta was doing, the counters, the possible crit counters. You know, you wanted to get it as much as possible. So you were forcing yourself to lose as much HP as possible to make sure Vegito came out as quick as possible. Whereas now, yes, you still want them to transform, which taking that kind of damage really does help us. And all the stacks we're getting is also very much helping us. But the base form is a hell of a lot more usable. Like, there's not that massive disparity between the two. Like, obviously, the Super Vegito portion is going to be way better. That's naturally going to happen. But a possibility of 50% damage reduction, a possibility of altogether 50% crit chance before you even consider if you have dupes or not, or skill orbs, and 70% chance of an additional super, which helps with the stacking, along with another guaranteed additional super based on conditions, which means you could stack 3 times. That's also, again, while having all of that potential of all of that 50% damage reduction as well, which means, as I said, while they're in base, while they're obviously not as good as the Super Vegito portion of the kit, they are still very much usable and very good, even before you transform, where, of course, they're going to get a whole lot better. So I actually really do like the base portion of their kit. Obviously, you're going to want to transform as quick as possible. That's natural. But I actually really do like the base portion. Like, it's good. It has a lot to offer, and it's very good and very usable. And you don't have to kind of protect them and get Vegito out as quick as possible. Which shouldn't be too difficult in kind of nowadays content, because 70% HP condition, of course this hasn't been changed, but 77% HP condition starting from the 4th turn is very good. Even in Zamasu, it's still quite solid. With the amount of damage that comes out of these events nowadays, getting to 77% HP, like, we've even got pretty much that HP right now. And this is anywhere near a difficult fight on global. So getting to that HP condition really is easy right now. I mean, before Fusion Zamasu, if this EZA came out before then, whole different story, probably not. Especially with the type of units you run. But now, yeah, piece of piss. It's so easy to do. So easy to do. I mean, watch me say that, and when I want to transform them while, like, running them against Zamasu or maybe like the new Margin Buu Saga Red Zone, watch it just not happen. So we've got that active skill ready. We've got them up to 470k defense, and again, just like Buhan, even though a lot of the time during the difficult content, you're probably going to want to transform them as quick as possible to get them to as good as they can be as quick as possible, it's an active skill. So if you want them to carry on stacking, which is a possibility because, again, all of that damage reduction, if you want them to have a bit more defense before they go into Super Vegito, you can leave it and transform them when you feel like it. But I am going to do that now.
Give it to me now! This is what I'm supposed to do, right?
Yep. Thanks, Vegeta.
Since I'm the fusion of Vegeta and Kakarot, I guess that makes me Vegito. And this is Super Vegito!
Okay, now we got them fused. We're ready to go. We've got that full heal, but more importantly, we have that Scouter, which is still probably one of the strongest abilities you can have in Dokkan because of how useful it is. Probably even more so now than ever, which is why not a lot of units actually get it. So now we're starting to turn off with 565k attacks, that's 611k defense. So we've jumped up by 200k from where we stacked to. In terms of how we're linked up, it's probably better now with these two, right? Because of the Super Saiyan link. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. That said, we know where the super attack's coming from. Of course, you have that full HP recovery as well, which is very nice. And now when they transform into Super Vegito, you have guaranteed guard for 3 turns. So wherever you stack their defense up to, you will have that and guaranteed guard for 3 turns once you transform Goku and Vegeta, or fuse Goku and Vegeta into Super Vegito. 13.5, just like that. 13.5, just like that. Again, the 12 and 18k SA effects are the same. You're doing 50% attack and defense on both for 1 turn. The only difference is, again, the Mega Coloss damage compared to the Colossal. And on 18 key, which you won't be able to utilize too much, is the guaranteed seal. And one thing Super Vegito has, which he's always had, which is just absolutely lovely, is the crits. Not crits, sorry, the counters, but the crit counters, where you're actually going to be doing some good damage. And because of the guard and some other stuff, you can actually counter now and not risk and fear for your life that you're going to die to get those counters off. So not only does he have guard for 3 turns upon entry, he will start the turn with key +5, attack and defense +250, have a 50% chance to crit. He'll gain an additional chance of performing a critical hit +20% within the same turn of each attack performed. So even if you just do one super attack, no additional, no extra dupe system, nothing, you will have a 70% chance to crit. Which is why the crit counters are very much a thing with Strength Super Vegito, and I absolutely love it. you will gain an additional attack plus 30% within the same turn after receiving an attack. So that means your crit counters, or your counters, even more damage. Especially if there's multiple, of course. Vegito also has 30% damage reduction and gains an additional damage reduction of 30% for normal attacks. So even once that 3 turn of guard is gone, this man is still going to have 30% damage reduction in general. And then once you're hit with a normal, we'll have a total of 60. Which is why doing the counters were absolutely fearing for your life with LR Super Vegito now isn't a thing. You don't have to feel like you're risking everything for counters anymore. He just has that extra protection, which means you can do so much damage in one turn. You have the initial super, you have potential additionals, then you hit as many counters as, you know, the game decides to throw at you, because, you know, you're hitting normals. I'll leave you in slot 1, you know, because we know where the super attacks are coming from because of that strong scouter ability. But for those 3 turns, Vegito he's armored up. I said you've got guard for 3 turns. You've got 30% damage reduction on top of that. If they're normals, you have 60% damage reduction on top of that. It's mad. The only part where Vegito could probably get caught, which is probably one of his only weaknesses, is once that 3-turn guard is gone and you get super attacked. That's probably the only point where he's taking some relatively fair damage, which, I mean, aside from everything else, with how much damage he can do and how strong defensively he is when he comes out, or just against normals, and as, you know, especially because he would have super attack by that point as well, I don't really mind that too much. But super attack may catch him a little bit, especially if you haven't managed to stack up too much, which sometimes, you know, that's just going to happen. You know, sometimes you just need to use or transform a unit ASAP as quickly as possible, or you just need them to do as much damage as possible, which Super Vegito is definitely doing. Of course, counters normal attacks with tremendous power. We gain an additional key plus 2 per keys for obtained, and also an additional attack and defense plus 77%, and foresees enemy super attack for 10 turns, which, even with the longer content coming from the 9th anniversary, even with Shadow Dragon Omega, this is literally from when they fuse. So when you decide to use the active, for 10 turns, it might as well be for the rest of the fight, because, you know, by the time you use the active skill and then add 10 turns on top of that, I don't think you're taking that long to do any fight in the game, if we're being completely realistic. So you kind of, in a way, but not really, almost have it for the entire fight. What do we lose by not having him next, well, in the middle? We lose prepared for battle, right? Yes, we lose prepared for battle. I don't really mind too much, so I'm just going to leave him in slot 1. I think this is final turn of guard as well. So I actually prefer, personally, the Buhon Easy A. Just he's done. Vegito is insane. How strong he is, it's insane. And he has a lot of defensive capabilities now, which I love. As I said, the counters being the main one, 14.4. But I do prefer Buhon just because he can do so much. So much. But Vegito does have the Scouter. So not only does he have all that damage reduction and the 3-turn guard, but mainly the damage reduction because, of course, the guard is only there for 3 turns. But he just does so much damage because, as I said, you're talking about the initial super. He could easily crit on that. You have all the counters he could possibly do, of course, as long as they're normals. Add that damage on top with all of that crit chance. There's also a possibility of an additional super, so an extra 50% attack and defense, which, if he doubles, of course, that means the counters are doing more damage, along with them being crit counters. See, the amount of damage this guy can do in one turn is stupid. Even after he's already super attacked and been and done. Even when he's had his turn, it's still his turn. And again, having that damage reduction, the 3-turn guard, it just helps him out a ton defensively, which is something Strength Super Vegito never had. Again, that Scouter ability, seeing enemy super attack for 10 turns, is almost having it permanently because you're just, from when you fuse them, you're never going to be in a fight that long for it to run out. If you do, then I don't know what you're doing. But stop it. Just stop it. It's just such a strong ability. Such a strong ability. In my opinion, still one of the strongest abilities to have in the entire game. But I love how usable and how good they've made the base Goku and Vegeta form. And I love how strong they've made Super Vegito. I mean, he was strong anyway. But I love how well-rounded they've now made him. But very, very good EZA. Like, Super Vegito is back to terrorize Dokkan. Well, at least on Global. But you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know which EZA you prefer. Do you prefer Buon or do you prefer Vegito? Let me know down in the comments. But I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. And peace.